Hello, everybody. My name is Javonte Tiller, and I'm going to be talking about transgender athletes and competing in NCAA sports. I would like to start off by setting the scene. Um, you're going out to compete at the highest level possible, whether that be in state finals in high school or NCAA championships in college or competing at the pro level or even just watching somebody compete at a high level. And you've worked your whole life for this and you're so excited to compete and you step up knowing that no matter what you can do, there's no possible way for you to win. And that kind of gets me going into my next point because right now there was a huge protest surrounding transgender athletes, and here's a picture of a couple of people at a rally who are protesting, and it says, "Our bodies, our sport, keep women's sports female." This started because there was transgender athletes who came in and were dominating, and biological women felt like this wasn't fair to the NCAA for transgender athletes to compete in women's sports. And so with that being said, the NCAA has tried its best to regulate these as very well as possible. They used hormone testing and eligibility requirements, but they couldn't change biological factors like muscle mass, bone density, lung capacity, things like that don't equal out after hormone therapy. So especially if the athlete has transitioned after puberty, they'll still physically be built the same regardless of what hormones you give them. And this brings me to an athlete specifically who had this, and it's Leah Thomas. She was a swimmer. She competed on the men's swimming team at Penn State, and then transitioned from male to female and competed on the women's Penn State swimming team. She was ranked like 554th nationally, so she was on the lower end of the rankings nationally when she was competing as a man. And then after she transitioned and started competing against biological women, she went on to win a national title. She went on to break her school records and also went on to compete in the Olympics. Many of her teammates, they were not happy about this, and a lot of her competitors weren't happy about this, and even fans weren't very happy about this. They expressed their discouragement. They did multiple things to try and get her banned, and same with there's another volleyball player who this happened to as well, where they tried to get them eliminated from competing because they felt it was unfair. But there's two sides to every story, and as much as you don't want unfairness in any sport, you also don't want to exclude people. And I believe that everybody deserves the right to compete. And now they've changed the rules from where transgender women can compete with women. They've changed that rule. They used to have hormone testing and things to make it fair to where transgender women can compete against women, but they've completely ruled that out because of the unfairness. And they've made it to where if you're a biological man, you can compete with the men, but you can't compete with women at all. You can practice with them, you can be on the team with them, but you can't compete against other teams with them. But anybody is included to compete on any men's team. So that opens up the possibility for everybody to compete and for everybody to have fun and have a chance to win, because this is a visual of a team winning the national championship at the NCAA level, and you can see the joy on their faces. You can see the expressions, you see the confetti, you see the feeling of accomplishment. And I've felt this personally from somebody who's been an athlete my whole life, and I've competed on multiple different levels, and just feeling accomplished, getting a big win with your team, celebrating that camaraderie, it makes sports so much worth it, and it makes it feel like it's not work, but instead it's a fun hobby. And I think everybody should be able to do that, and that's why I've come up with the idea of having a board of doctors that work for the NCAA or can be contracted through the NCAA, and they will perform tests and determine if transgender athletes should be able to compete in sports, or not should be able to compete in sports, but should be able to compete on women's or men's teams, because then this kind of eliminates that unfairness, because then you have, if say you have a biological man who wasn't built very big and transitioned pre-puberty and was at the same playing level as all the other females, and they had to compete against men because they were born biologically male. It does kind of hold an unfairness there as well, which is something that I'm trying to get away from it. At the same time, you want to make sure everybody's as safe and has as much fun and it is as fair as possible. So I thank you guys for listening to this, and I hope you guys all have an amazing break.